Since the earliest filmmakers, there was always need for editing. Cut out the boring bits and keep good stuff. With old-fashioned celluloid film, cutting apart and slicing pieces of film together is a rather intuitive process. Early films were short films that were one long static and lockdown shot. Motion in the shot was all that was necessary to amuse an audience, so the first films simply showed activity such as moving traffic on a city street. There was no story and no editing. Each film ran as long as there was film in the camera. David Lewin-Waugh was an American film director, mostly remembered as the director of the 1915 film The Birth of a Nation and the subsequent film Intolerance. Early on, the cuts were made in the camera so that the cameraman would simply stop cranking at the exact end of the shot and begin cranking again when it was moved somewhere else or when something else was put in front of it. This kind of editing could allow for some early special effects. In movies he was making at the turn of the century, George Méliès stops the camera after detonating a magic puff of smoke in front of his actor, then begins the camera again after the actor has left the stage, making it seem as if the actor has magically vanished. The process takes a lot of planning so that the shots are filmed in the precise order they will be presented. However, some of this time can be reclaimed as there is no editing, cutting out or reordering scenes later on. Filmmakers discovered that editing shots into a sequence not only contributed to the audience's sense of tale, but also enabled them to tell more complex stories as a result. You can see the primitive instances of editing in films like Rescued by Rover and The Great Train Robbery by Edwin Stanton Porter. Linear editing. There was another technique on editing video coming into play. Using two video decks, you could transfer the video from one deck to another and build up a show by assembling a bunch of different cuts, one after another, assembled in a linear fashion. This was linear editing. Non-linear editing. Here was an alternative starting to emerge, almost a rejection of the strict timecode rules of linear editing and going back to the freedom of cutting actual film, a system that would eventually be called non-linear editing. Non-linear editing was non-destructive. You could assemble a cut in whatever order you wanted and go back and make changes without disturbing the rest of the assembly. George Walton Lucas Jr. is an American film director, screenwriter and producer and entrepreneur. He founded Lucasfilm and led the company as chairman and chief executive before selling it to Walt Disney Company on October the 30th, 2012. He is best known as the creator of the space opera franchise Star Wars and the archaeologist adventure character Indiana Jones. Through the 80s, it was a really matter of waiting for computational power and storage capability to catch up. Notably, the Edit Droid, which debuted at NAB in 1984 from George Lucas' spin-off company DroidWorks. The computer pulled footage stored on Laserdisc which really didn't work very well, which then caused the company to shut down in 1987. Other machines tried using VCRs, but they were also time-consuming and not effective. Looking over the years, how can you not look at the momentum of history and how we got here and not wonder if that so much has changed in so little time? What will be happening later on in the future? Become a future filmmaker and go out there with commitment and attitude.